Hello everybody, and welcome back once again to, of course, it's Suzerain, the Kingdom of Rizia DLC, and we're here just about to telephone call Prime Minister Alvarez of Lespia. Wonder what that can be about. Is it something to do with the massive gas field that's just been discovered? And the fact that Lespia, you want it for yourself, really, and you're trying to get it through a proxy state, namely Parlay, eh? Is that what it's about, this conversation? Are you going to hurl threats at me, you drunkard? We'll soon find out. Anyway, good to see you. You're getting this recording today instead of a stream later because I'm going out. I don't usually go out on a Sunday, but this Sunday I'm going out somewhere. So I thought, you know what? Before the horse racing starts at 2, I'll squeeze in a quick session and get this up for you guys this afternoon instead. I've got a little bit of messing about to do with Baldur's Gate 3 after the last stream, otherwise I might have done a recording of that instead, but I've got to redo some of the stuff from the last session because it went a bit peak-tongue, didn't it? But anyway, so Baldur's Gate will be coming tomorrow, Monday night stream, and I'm not going anywhere tomorrow, so that'll be coming. So yes, instead you'll get some of this as a recorded session rather than the planned stream. Hope you don't mind, but I've got literally 45 minutes to get this recorded, edited, and get it off on its merry way on Sony Vegas before my horse racing starts. So without further ado, let's take this call, shall we? See what he has to say for himself, old Alvarez. But we do feel like we're being ganged up on a little bit here. We've just met Duke Reinhardt, who was an absolute tool, and now his best mate's ringing us to put pressure on. Let's see how it goes. It had been a week since my meeting with Duke Reinhardt in Parlay. The Alliance of Nations had accepted our request to arbitrate ownership of the Aureus gas field. Preliminary hearings were to begin soon. In the meantime, Lespian Prime Minister Patricio Alvarez had contacted Lorento asking to speak with me. Who's betting they try to throw money at us here? If he's going through the AN arbitration process, there's nothing that they can do other than to try to get us to cancel it. And the only way they're going to do that is by throwing money at us, surely. It's a good job we're not that way inclined. It's a good job we're not bribable. Just ask Rusty. I was spending the week at my palace in Monkeys. Lorento visited to brief me ahead of the phone call. He stepped in front of my desk and bowed. We like this man. Good afternoon, Your Majesty. Yes. I trust you're well, Mr. Escobel? Well enough. Though I must say I'm worried by the increasing tensions in southern Macopa. Our Brombergian allies have expressed their support for our naval blockade as expected, and they are sure to be of use during the AN arbitration process. However, the nation of Morella has yet to support or denounce us. The same goes for Derdia. Oh, yeah, those nations that we didn't give two cahoots about, you mean? Derdians, Golcondists turned away at the borders, them. Yeah, the left-wing Morella. Oh, okay. Meanwhile, my requests for Valent to give us an updated timeline on the Zeal handover have been repeatedly ignored. I'd act surprised, but clearly I'm not. Just call me Rumus the Diffuser. Isn't there anything we could... It's almost like desperation here, because of course we can't just go in there and take it by force, as much as it might be the easy option. We don't have a military to speak of hardly, so there's got to be something we can do if they are dragging their heels, Lorento. You are the diplomatic man. What options have I got available to me? He smoothed one of the ends of his moustache. Is that a nervous smoothing, Lorento? I have filed a complaint with the Alliance of Nations. Presumably this will be addressed during the upcoming South Macopa session. For now, though, we have Prime Minister Alvarez to worry about. Yes, I've heard he's an alcoholic. On the grapevine. No puns intended if he likes wine, of course. Rare is the world leader who doesn't enjoy a little drink on the job. Or a big one. But no, Alvarez has apparently acknowledged his problem and entered a rehabilitation program. He's as sober as an archpriestess. For now. That's unfortunate. How trustworthy is he? Considering the only reason he entered politics was to avoid going to jail? No charge has successfully been levied against him, but in my opinion, he can only be trusted to protect his own best interests. Did my father ever talk to him? No. His Majesty Villero died mere months after Alvarez won the 1949 election. He must have sent his obligatory congratulations. In private, though, he referred to the young man as the Viper in a diaper. Why do you think he's calling? Well, I can think of a main reason, but hey, unless there's another reason that I'm unaware of. Well, he can be happy that AN arbitration is delaying Lespia's access to the Aureus gas field. His country's energy demands have skyrocketed since joining ATO. I've heard rumours of massive new infrastructure investments, naturally involving the Prime Minister's own construction company, Alvarez Industries. Okay, excellent. I'm expecting him to try to bribe me then. Patch him through. Just making sure I'm recording and not on mute, because that's happened to me many a time before now. Right. Very good, Your Majesty. I'll meet you afterwards for a debriefing. An assistant brought in the blue telephone that was used for calls with heads of state. At 3:01 it rang. Clearly he's no... what was he called? Lucius. Lucius. Yeah, was it Lucius? It was Lucius, right? I can't believe I forgot the man's name. He'd have been on 3 o'clock on the dot. Good afternoon, King Romus. This is Patricio Alvarez. Should we reel off the titles like our sister-in-law does? I'm so tempted, but no, it's not my style. How are you? It depends who we're talking to, but right now, just cut to the chase, Alvarez. How is everything in Lespia? No, how are you, Mr. Alvarez? We'll just ask how he is. I'll be honest with you, Your Majesty. I was a lot better a week ago. Oh, I'm sure you were when you thought you were getting lucrative gas reserves. I heard him sigh on the other end of the line. Here I am, about to land the gas deal of a lifetime. And then my business partner calls me up and tells me we have to wait for AN arbitration. I'm only observing protocol, Mr. Alvarez. You would do the same if I laid claim to one of Lespia's resources. It isn't your resource, Your Majesty. My legal counsel has a crystal clear case for Polesian ownership of the gas field. You can talk about ANDA rules all you want, but in the end it's going to come down to your word versus ours. And who do you think has more sway with the Alliance of Nations? I don't want to ask for money even. It would be interesting to see what he would be willing to offer. I don't think he's going to... If he's that confident he's going to get victory, what is he going to offer us anything, really? But what else was he? What else is he rigging for? Either to threaten us or to bribe us. So we're just gonna state it plain. I understand I may lose. Hey, we're leaving it in the hands of a third party after all. Nothing is guaranteed. But I am not going to back down on this. Sorry about that. So, no point of wasting any further of your breath. Not might, Your Majesty. You will lose, after wasting a lot of unnecessary time and money. If you want to avoid all that, I have a proposition. What kind of proposition? No promises, of course, but hey, we're here now, I'm listening. We've got to listen to the man, haven't we? I've been following the situation in Zeal. It seems to me like you could use help with this debacle. Oh. I think we've got the Zeal situation under control. We've got the situation with Rumberg on our side. We've got sort of spying, counterintelligence going on. We've got little cells stoking up unrest there. Sure, we'll be fine. What debacle? Play dumb here. What debacle are you talking about? Our countries have an agreement. As if we're foolish enough to believe that agreement's going to stand. But hey, let's call his bluff here. So, President Smolak has promised to return Zeal as scheduled despite the recent incident? Not in so many words. He's a slippery man, that Smolak. You won't get your territory back unless you tighten your grip on him. You catch flies with honey, not with vinegar. I'm not going to risk inflaming hostilities. Are you offering to intervene, Mr. Prime Minister? Of course, Lespia can't do that. But we can provide some assistance from the sidelines. By speaking up on your behalf at the upcoming AN session, for example. That's it? You'd expect us to give up our claim on that entire gas field? For something so little? Your good word in the AN meeting? It's more than you'll get if you continue down the arbitration path. Actually, I'll be extra generous. Cede the Aureus field to Parley, and in addition to the assistance I just promised, we'll sell you 1/4 of the exploration rights. Okay, so now 1/4 is better than nothing, actually. Oh, hang fire for a second here. What does that get me? 1/4. Rather than half, 1/4? And his word to take back Zeal, which is our most pressing concern? The man has just tickled my tune here. 1/4's better than nothing. The most we're going to get out of the arbitration is a half, right? And a half after long, drawn-out, procrastinated talks. Costly, apparently. But he's not trustworthy, though. It's a trouble. Oh, but it's an interesting proposition. I'm not greedy. We've expanded our own gas field. We've got a coal mine up and running, so we've already got some energy. Not much. Granted, not much. But it's better than nothing. Yeah, that's not really going to come into play. It's a blockade until the session's over. How do I know I can trust you? You wouldn't be bargaining if you thought you had an airtight case. That's very true also. I just spilled tea all over myself. Look at the state of me. And I've got no tissues here. Stand by. Okay, back with you. All mopped up. Right. Oh, this would have been a lot easier if he were just trying to bite. If he were just trying to give me money, just because I'd have just easily turned it down. I don't want your cash, mate. I don't want it. But actually, if we're getting some of the exploration rights and their good word in the Alliance of Nations for the situation with Zeal, that's an extra string to our bow with the Zeal incident. I know we've got a few little things going on in Zeal, which means we might get it anyway, but this could be just the icing on the cake to get it through over the line. That is our most pressing concern. But yeah, you wouldn't be bargaining if you thought you had an airtight case. I'm trying to make sure we both get something out of this, Your Majesty. A certain social club I'm in has taught me the importance of service to others. Oh, no, all of these, apart from this one, these two are quite insulting, actually. This is kind of a middle-of-the-road answer. We don't have to believe he's changed, ultimately. Well, we do. Because if we sign up to this, and he turns around and doesn't follow through with it, I don't know what to do. I notice it in this game, that, I mean, unless it's just because I'm playing this game now, but in the original game, there were some tough choices, don't get me wrong, but this game seems to be full of them. It's because it's a shorter game, they're probably all condensed into a short period. It's just like one tough decision after a flip another. But, yeah, there is some real humdingers in here. There really is. I'm so very tempted. AN arbitration, it'd be quite fun to go down that line, see how it goes, but we could end up with nothing out of that. If we lose that AN arbitration, we get nothing. Zero, zilch, no help with zeal from him, nothing at all. Whereas this, we get a quarter of the exploration rights rather than... I'm assuming when he says the quarter of the exploration rights, he's talking about a quarter of... We can, you know, harvest a quarter of the field. It must mean that. Rather than a half. So we get a little bit... We get less energy from it. Less gas from it. But... And his good word in the AN meeting. But that could carry quite a lot of weight, to be fair. Let's carry on with the conversation for now. I don't have to make the decision just yet. Obviously, we have to make the decision during this call, so it's coming. But you know, maybe if we can get him to add something else into a third thing into the mix, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. You may be sober, but I don't believe for a second you've changed your ways. As I said, we don't have to believe him. You don't have to believe me. He's... All you have to do is say yes. Oh, okay, now we have to choose. Wow, so we lose budget straight away. Why do we lose budget straight away? Because we're buying it. We're buying it? Did he say he's selling us? Oh yeah, selling us. Selling us something that he doesn't even own yet. Cheeky mare. Right, so we would pay him for the rights. It would cost us -1 budget per turn. But we get +1 energy per turn in the future, which means that if we get the half the deal through the arbitration, we get +2 energy per turn in the future. We can turn down his elf with Valen, or accept it, or we can risk it to arbitration. I don't think Queen Beatrice will be happy. She's back in our corner, isn't she? And if we concede here, she'll see it as a sign of weakness. I mean, I'm seeing it as a sign of pragmatism, ultimately. But if we do win arbitration, we won't lose budget per turn, and we won't lose the -2 budget. But how much are we going to lose in budget fighting this? That's the question, because it's been said multiple times that it's a costly affair. Costly is probably going to be more than -2. I don't know. This is the trouble. So budgetary-wise, we might end up worse off. Although I can't imagine the arbitration will take away minus budget per turn, which is considering there might be, 6 turns left, that's another 6 budget over the next 6 turns. It's quite significant. Unless, even if we do get the gas field, we have to pay budget per turn to harvest it. Again, speaking about unknowns here. I'm trying to think of what on earth we could do to make sure that we don't lose in arbitration. What could we possibly have up our sleeve to ensure that we don't lose that? Oh, this is tough. This is tough. This could be the next 20 minutes of this session. It's going to be about a 45-minute session. This could be that. This could be the bulk of it. me pondering. I have to take a cut whilst I'm pondering this. Yay, caramba. I do kind of want to see the look on Duke Reinhardt's face if we get 50%, because he's a snot-nosed little brat that I could have slapped up and down his office. How we maintained our cool, I will never know. 25%. See, I don't know how much energy we're going to need in the future. Don't forget, we're not doing the electric dam either, which, although we have expanded the oil field and got the coal mines, still leaves us, as you can see, a little bit short on the energy front, particularly because we built that port. But this will take us to +2 energy per turn, which we could stockpile just in case we need it in the future. We're building the gold mine soon, so that'll offset the budget per turn loss. I think I'm going to go for it. This is really, as I said, pragmatic mode is kicking in here. Oh. I'm just envisaging just losing at arbitration and walking away with absolutely nothing. Money talks, eh? Money talks. Rumours the bribable. With a bit of cash or something in his face, he'll take it. He doesn't want a conflict. He don't want conflict. He don't like conflict. Okay, I've decided. I'm not going to cut any of my pondering out because I just want you to watch the agony that I'm going through thinking about this. But yeah, we're going to accept. It's painful, but guaranteed 25. The fact is, we're buying it. This is actually makes it even more of a slap in the face. We're buying these rights. You're buying them. You don't even own the damn thing yet. It's a cheek if you think about it. Do you know what? I've changed my mind. I've changed my flip-flopping here. No, forget it. The more I think about it, the more I think it's an absolute cheek. You're selling us what is rightfully ours. Anyway, technically speaking, we haven't been arbitrated yet. But do you know what? Oh my god. If we're happy to lose in arbitration and pump the money into it to lose, then we should not accept this offer. If losing at arbitration is going to be painful for us, and we're going to regret not doing this, that's probably how we should look at this. So if I lose at arbitration and say we have to pump in 3-4 budget and we still end up losing, will I be furious that I didn't take this offer? Budget per turn is not a massive issue. The -2 upfront budget is a little bit painful, but don't forget we can sell ships, which also we can remove from the blockade, so we can now sell them, because if we have to keep this blockade up, I didn't want to sell any ships just in case it went into a naval situation. So we can then start selling our submarines, selling our ships for hefty budget. The only reason why we got the port is to sell ships for proceeds. So we don't need the cash, so the cash hit isn't an issue, and we're getting energy pretty. You know what? Yeah. We're a rich country, let's use our money, leverage our money, pay for what should be ours, but hey, as I said, this guarantees us 25%, we get there, we get his word in the AN meeting, we don't have to go through arbitration. The only thing that is here in my head is Queen Beatrice's reaction, you know, I can just imagine, oh, it's so weak. Pathetic, you know. What the hell have you done that for? God's sake, this is awful. Okay, final answer, we're going to take it. And do you know what, actually thinking about this, the other reason why I'm taking it also is because obviously Dirdia and Morella seem to have a part to play in this, and we're not going to be on the best of terms with Dirdia and Morella, are we? Let's be honest here. You know, Golcondas have been turfed away, blasphemy laws, so the Dirdian head of state's not going to be happy, is he, with us? Morella, don't forget, we completely, utterly just ran roughshod over the environmental concerns that they raised, for a starter. So I don't think we're going to have enough support, if I'm being honest. So, pragmatism, we get a little bit of something, better than nothing. Short, yeah, long term we're going to be losing out, we're not going to be able to tap into as much of this resource as we can, but hey, we're a resource-rich country regardless. And although this shouldn't factor, let's not forget we've got this sword land. The outcome shouldn't factor because we don't know the outcome, but we do know that we've got a potential opportunity with Alfonso, with Gassom, so that could also be used to bump up our resources as well, if that goes favourably. So I think we can afford to cede an extra bit of energy in the long run. So let's do it. All things considered in the round, bad relations with some of the people that might be involved in this arbitration, potential for for offsetting this energy loss that we're having to do here with potential future opportunities, and the fact that I don't think we're going to be in a massive budgetary bad position anyway. So we can afford that. We can afford it. We need the help with Zeal anyway. We want to make sure that that does not go awry. Mother's homeland needs to be returned. That is our number one priority, and this can't hurt. So ultimately, all things considered, finally after 10 minutes of deliberation, we're gonna say yes. And there was me. He's gonna try to bribe us. We're not having any of it. Nah, nothing. Nothing you can offer me. Nah, not gonna be interested. Suddenly turns into, yeah, happy days. Yeah, all right, sell me 25%, help me out with Zeal, and I'll withdraw the claim. Thanks very much. Oh, Jesus. It's a deal. I'm looking forward to celebrating our agreement in person in Kairut, over, say, coffee. Thank you for calling, Mr. Prime Minister. Although I might need something stronger, having just signed away 25% and having paid for the pleasure. Oh, and of course, I expect the prompt removal of your naval reinforcements from the field. We said our goodbyes and hung up. I sat there for a while, wondering what I had gotten myself into. I avoided a legal battle, but to what end? To what end? Simon started, Duchy of Pales. Unfriendly. Diplomatic mission. Under construction. Pale Stream. Not a clue. Not a clue. What's happening here? Port Drazen. Visiting the House of Delegates. Oh, of course. And an evening conversation with my mother. Oh, happy days. AN arbitration cancelled. Following our conversation with Patricio Alvarez, the Alliance of Nations Arbitration Committee has been informed that it will no longer be needed to assist with the Aureus gas field ownership dispute. A deal is being worked out for Rizia to gain exploration rights to one quadrant of the field, with Lespia purchasing the main share from Parley. What an absolute... Okay, so we're losing one budget per turn for the Parley pipeline construction. Okay, that's fine. We've lost two budget for the share. Oh, there's Marve Nortus. That's where we're building the spy hub. Intelligence hub, yeah. Right, let's have a quick look at the newspapers. Rizia and Parley reach peaceful gas agreement. The royal government of Rizia announced today that following private talks between His Majesty King Romus and Duke Axel Reinhardt, an agreement has been reached with the Grand Duchy of Parley over the disputed Aureus gas field, marking a decisive victory for diplomacy and regional stability, and illustrating the power of peaceful negotiation. The exact nature of the agreement is not yet known. What is certain is that what could have turned into a nasty dispute between our two nations has been resolved with typical Taurus grace. Yeah, just keep the terms private, will you? Decline in East Macopan economic integration. Decline in trade volumes. Oh dear. Very good. Arcasia extends aid to impoverished free cities. Foreign aid mission. All eyes on South Macopa at upcoming AN session. Ooh. Let's have a look at this. The upcoming session of the Alliance of Nations is setting an unprecedented course by dedicating a day's agenda exclusively to the issues of the 6 countries of South Macopa. This dedicated focus represents a significant opportunity for the international community to engage with the region's unique challenges and potentials. Scheduled for later this month, the session underscores the growing recognition of South Macopa's strategic importance and its increasingly central role in global geopolitical dynamics, particularly thanks to its wealth of natural resources such as gold, oil and gas. At the same time, AN President Nines hopes to diffuse the tensions that have been simmering between the nations of Rizia, Valen, Pales, Lespia, Morella and Derdia. The AN session will provide a crucial platform for multilateral dialogue and conflict resolution. Well, what conflict? We're in no conflict anymore. Valen, they're going to have to give Zeal back now. They're going to be under pressure from all sides at this point. We've sorted out the gas situation. What misunderstandings, what issues can we possibly have now? Right, narrowly avoided a dispute here. It wasn't with us and Axel Reinhardt, it was between us and Lespia, Mr. what's-his-face? Alvarez, actually. Reinhardt was a tool. Okay. Good stuff. Right. Let's speak with our mother first. Do love our mother very much. We love her style for a start. Pearls, hats. It was the night before my trip to Kairut for the Alliance of Nations meeting. I had just finished some last-minute preparations in my study. I carefully made my way back towards the palace's residential wing. It was later than I realised. The halls were dead silent, illuminated only by weak shafts of moonlight through the windows. Grand Wiseman Ignatius's quarters were on the ground floor. I saw light coming out of the keyhole. I carefully bent down and looked inside. As you do, peeping Tom. Sal was rocking back and forth in his armchair, his eyes closed. He seemed to be mouthing a prayer. Just before the stairs was the entrance to Vena's room. Through the door I caught the faint strains of her voice. Hey, we're clearly in a peeping Tom listening ear kind of mood today. Press my ear against the door in order to hear better. Oh, don't be so blue. Honestly, what were you expecting? No, I won't talk to him. He's in Kairut the next few days anyway. Yes, my love. We'll speak very soon. Who on earth is she talking to? There was a clunk as she hung up the phone. I moved away from the door and kept walking. How on earth you've not kicked that door through, I'll never know. How has he maintained his composure? Who the hell is she speaking with? I reached the top floor. Across the hall from my bedchamber, the Queen Mother's door was open. I looked in. My mother was smoking out on her balcony, her back turned towards me. Good evening, Mother. She looked startled for a moment, then smiled. Oh, I'm surprised you're still up. You have a long day ahead of you. All set for tomorrow? Yeah. Sure. Okay, yeah, this is obviously pressing news here. No wonder he's remained so calm. He's planned to speak to his mother about it. Can I ask you something about Vina? What about our princess? Has she told you whether she's seeing someone? That isn't the sort of information a young lady shares with her grandmother. Although, of course, I've heard the same rumours you have. What rumours? Elaborate. Come, dear, did you really think one dance in Salabez would be enough for those two? She flicked a bit of ash from her cigarette off the balcony. I'll tell you this much. The last thing you want to do is forbid her from seeing him. Yeah, you know, the more I forbid it, forbidden love is always the strongest love, you know, Romeo and Juliet and all that. I want them to get together. No, we don't. Clearly not. I know that. I'm not that stupid, as much as I've been furious. Don't forget what happened when Liza the Great tried to forbid your father from seeing the whore of Zeal. She laughed loudly. Next thing you know, she's throwing all of her influence at the council to persuade them that a fisherman's daughter is a suitable match for a prince. Then what do? I don't want him infecting her with his dangerous ideas. She cast a sidelong glance at me. I should think you'd be more worried about putting House Hayes in a single body away from the throne. Yes, that too, of course. The way I see it, you could use a pairing to keep a close eye on the opposition, assuming Vina trusts you enough to pass along information about her paramour's family. Of course she trusts me. Or, there's one other thing you could do. You send the princess a nice relaxing trip abroad. Nothing cures love sickness like a change of scenery. Diplomatic mission, perhaps. Distract her with improve our international standing at the same time. And if she meets some dashing foreign prince over there, consider it a bonus. Speaking of foreign affairs, are you positive you don't want to talk about tomorrow's meeting? I just want to make sure you're prepared to address the elephant in the chamber. Which elephant? There are so many. I wonder that you world leaders can squeeze in amongst all those pachyderms. But I was referring to Zeal. Or have you forgotten that the handover deadline is imminent? We need our land back, no matter what kind of announcement Victor Smolak has up his sleeve. And how do you know he's going to make an announcement? My whisper networks aren't what they used to be, but wives still talk. Any advice on how to act, then? I say, don't stoop to his level. Make him look like the tyrant he is. Speaking of which, how is that muscle-bound lunk of yours proceeding with his investigation? These things take a while, you know. I do hope the investigators turn something up that we can actually use. I shudder to think of what might happen if the handover deadline arrives before a culprit is found. How rude. If this doesn't work, we'll try something else. But zeal will, repeat, will be ours. Yes, I know. Excuse my impatience. She stubbed her cigarette out on the balcony railing and sighed. Well, it's about time I got some rest. Yes, me too. I hope, Parble, and your pillowcase. You can't go addressing the AN with creases on your face. Don't worry about Zeal, Mother. I promise you, I am doing everything I can. And I literally mean everything, including giving up bloody rights to gas fields that we should have had more percentage claims to. Put the lights on, there you go. Hi, guys. I'm not worried. I wished her good night and left the room. I heard her light click off. I returned to my quarters to see Titus take his post outside my door. I wondered how long he'd been shadowing me for. In my room, Parble had already packed my suitcase and turned the bed down. I climbed into bed but was too distracted by thoughts of the day ahead to sleep. Lespia, neutral relations, and neutral with parley, in fact. That's actually a turn up for the books. Visiting the House of Delegates before we go on an AN meeting trip. I walked down the palm tree-lined path that connected Parley Resna, Parley on the brain here, Palace Resna, to the nearby House of Delegates. In contrast to the ornate palace, the house was essentially a plain concrete box. Its stripped-down appearance reflected its hurried construction. The only adornment was a phrase chiselled above the entrance, Ax Populat Risati, to the Rizian people. I made my way down the hall to the meeting room. Hugo rose to greet me as I entered the empty chamber. We took our seats atop the raised wooden platform in the centre of the room. Directly below the platform were two podiums, one for each speaker. Wooden benches for the delegates were arranged in a circle around us. Welcome, Your Majesty. Good morning, Your Grace. The delegates will be on their best behaviour with you here today. The Sazan boy might even keep his speeches to under half an hour. Based on what I saw in Salabez, I doubt it. His speech there seemed to have done a number on your daughter. Rebuilding relations with House Sazan is a sound strategy, but we mustn't allow them to get too close to the throne. The clock struck 10, and the delegates filed in. Each wore a satin sash in the traditional colour of his or her province, red for Rizia Imperi, blue for Monkeys, yellow for Cardes Monteclar, and green for Brennus. Next came the speakers. The House leader, Daria de Reva, walked out in a well-tailored crimson suit. She had a brisk gait and impeccable posture. The other delegates practically held their breath as they waited for her to take her place. You said that she's a loyalist, right? Quite right. In all of the sessions I've attended, she has never made a decision that didn't align with the interests of House Taurus. I noted the approving tone in his voice as he spoke of her. Next came Manus Sazan, clad in a black suit with a forest green silk tie. He waved to his fellow delegates, then to me. Waved back. You know, with a laugh. I didn't move as he took his place. Just give him the side eye, you know. Daria picked up a golden bell and rang it once, far more elegant than a gavel. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to call this meeting of the House of Delegates to order. Today we are humbled by the presence of His Majesty King Romus. Long may he reign. A few cries of long may he reign echoed amongst the delegates, particularly those in red and blue sashes. It's an honour to be here, Madam Speaker. She smiled and continued. The Rizian People's Party has prepared a proposal that Mr. Suzerain will submit before the delegates and His Majesty. The delegates will vote on whether to accept or reject it, but this is a non-binding recommendation. The ultimate authority rests with the King and the Royal Council. She flipped open a binder. Today's session is regarding the Rizian Worker Protections Act. Oh, you mean the one that we have sworn not to sign because we have been bribed by Rusty? That one, you mean? Mr. Suzerain, would you like to explain more? Gladly, Madam Speaker. The past 2 decades have seen a marked increase in workplace accidents, particularly in the sectors of mining and manufacturing. The experts I've consulted with have pinpointed several factors responsible for the rise, chief among them a shortage of skilled labour and growing pressure from our primary trading partner. Simply put, our corporations have been cutting corners at the expense of human health and safety. Our industry's continued reliance on guest workers who are paid and trained less than their native Rizian counterparts is exacerbating the problem. Now, a cross-industry coalition of employees and guest workers has bravely approached the Rizian People's Party with a list of requests to convey to our fellow delegates as well as His Majesty. Among these are mandatory workplace safety training, upgraded protective equipment, benefits for those injured on the job, and regular site inspections by state authorities. And of course, financial penalties for corporations that fail to meet those requirements. Madam Speaker, Your Majesty, surely you agree on the urgency of this proposition. Rizia's great industries will not flourish as long as our workers are suffering. I looked at Hugo. I mean, he does have a semi-decent case, but hey, we've made our bed to lie in, so... So Rusty was right. His miners found a way to take their grievances to me after all. Mr. Montoro will be expecting you to make good on your promise to him. I suddenly realised the hall had gone quiet. Shall I continue? Mr. Suzerain, I would like to know how easy it is to pay for these policies. He smiled patiently. They would be paid for in equal measure by the government and the corporations in question. Our country still has a budget surplus, Your Majesty. Yes, due to my expert management of that budget. What is that well for, if not to improve the lives of our citizens? Besides, a healthy worker is a productive worker. This small investment will pay off tenfold in the long term, for us and for our economy. Darius sharply knocked on her podium. All eyes turned to her. Forgive me, Your Majesty, but I cannot let my opponent continue with these lies. Lies, you say, Daraver? Please. What lies? Mendes reluctantly took a step back. Of course my party believes that worker safety is paramount, but the regulations that have been suggested today amount to overkill. It is up to individual corporations to take responsibility for reducing accidents. Shifting that responsibility to the government will do nothing to protect those at risk. It will, however, stifle our country's economic growth and decrease our viability in the global arena. If our businesses are to remain competitive, it is wiser to insensitize good safety practices than to punish their absence. I must object, Madam Speaker. Companies such as Rizian Royal Gold and Rizian Oil and Gas will never voluntarily undertake the measures we're describing. Daria brushed off the comment. My point stands. We should not be spending our wealth from the Aureus gas field acquisition before we have even earned it. Our focus should be on bolstering our economy, not meddling in the affairs of our corporations. From near the front came the sound of a single person applauding. One person. I looked towards the source. Rusty. What's he doing here? Was leaning against the wall, dressed in his usual plaid. He nodded at me as he kept clapping. I turned towards Hugo again. What the hell is he doing here? You didn't tell me that a special guest would be joining us today. Hugo stared in Rusty's direction, expressionless. I was not informed. Not informed? Grand Vizier? You need to flip and work on your informants then, don't you? Unfortunately, these sessions are open to the public, so we cannot ask him to leave without reason. He doesn't have to leave. In fact, his presence could be useful in pressuring the Suzerain boy to stand down with his demands. Rusty had stopped clapping now. He was scrutinizing me closely, a gleam in his eye. How nice of you to join us, Mr. Montoro. Do you have any words on the topic at hand? Name's Rusty, and as a matter of fact, I do. Rusty ambled down the aisle of the chamber. He came to a stop between the two speaker podiums. Now, I won't take up too much of your time. The Baroness summed things up pretty well. His Majesty here has also had the privilege of hearing my personal thoughts on the subject. I wish he hadn't brought this up. That could have remained just between us, actually. He looked at me and winked. I forgot. Why didn't you just make it obvious, you great buffoon? He was very receptive to my ideas at the time, but he might have forgotten a key point or two. He cleared his throat. Now, the Rizia Standard Dictionary defines gold as a yellow precious metal used in jewellery and to guarantee the value of currencies. I stayed silent as he continued. But in Rizia, it's so much more than that. Commoners who've never even touched ducat still feel proud to live on shores of gold, as we sing. But our shores would never have been golden in the first place if our monarchs had listened to naysayers like Mr. Suzerain here. Your Majesty, your predecessors knew that there can be no prosperity without hard work. Our grit and determination today fills the nation's coffers tomorrow. But where does that grit go when the government's got our hands tied? How can we function as a company when you folks don't trust us to take care of our own people? If I may ask, sir, how exactly would our proposal tie your hands? What does the country stand to lose? Don't play dumb, kid. Implementing all your suggestions would cost us, and you, millions. You'd have no choice but to shift more of your production from Rizia to the international trade zone. You see, Mr. Suzerain? How bad will it look from the outside if no Rizian gold comes from Rizia anymore? I mean, that's probably the least of the concerns. Saving face on the international stage. But hey, a flawed argument, Your Majesty. Mr. Montoro could easily afford the measures I'm suggesting if he and his fellow executives forewent a fraction of their salary. Rusty started laughing. Excuse me? You're sitting on a fortune just because you happen to have the right last name, and you want me to give up the money I worked for? Gold house for people. See, this is a shifty argument, because which nobles are going to sacrifice? He'll probably turn around and say, "I'm happy to sacrifice," make us all look like fools, you know. And he clearly is asking somebody to give up money here. So I don't like that either. Oh, we're kind of... I don't like any of these options. This is going to play right into his hands, because he's going to turn around and say, "I'm willing to make him." Which noble... I'm noble... We'll have to shelve that topic for a later discussion. Your Majesty, it's completely out of the purview of today's session. I completely agree, Dari. Well done. Rescued me there. Mr. Montoro, would you and Rizia's other business owners be willing to undergo voluntary measures to increase workplace safety in lieu of the drastic actions Mr. Suzerain is proposing? Rusty grinned toothfully. Of course we would, as long as we're allowed to keep doing what we do best. He stroked his chin faux thoughtfully. Come to think of it, though, I won't presume to speak up for the other guys. I'm the only one who cared enough to show up today, right? So here's another thought. You regulate factories and energy plants however you want, but maybe, just maybe, you think about making an exception for old Rusty. He winked at me again, managed to drew a hand across his brow. We can't make any exceptions. The malfeasance of Rizian royal gold was what inspired this proposal in the first place. Your proposal was never going to be accepted in its entirety, Mr. Suzerain. Compromise is part of the political process. This was a losing battle to begin with, Your Majesty. Hugo calmly spoke up. The time for a vote is drawing close. To be clear, Mr. Suzerain, you do not wish to amend your proposal to take into account Mr. Montoro's comments? I do not, Your Grace. Then you have the floor, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Your Grace. As a reminder to you and His Majesty, this vote serves as a non-binding recommendation. The King and his Council may agree or disagree at will. All those in favour of the RPP's worker safety proposal, raise your hands. About a quarter of the delegates, mostly those with green sashes, put a hand in the air. Those in favour of encouraging companies to develop and enforce their own safety protocols on a voluntary basis? The rest of the delegates, an overwhelming majority, raised their hands. Rusty smiled triumphantly. The delegates have an official recommendation. Rather than introduce sweeping and expensive labour reforms, Rizia should entrust the matter of safety to its business owners. Hugo nodded. Thank you, Madam Speaker. The final decision is now in the hands of His Majesty King Romus. Will you accept or overrule the delegates' recommendation? Any closing statements, really? No. I don't want to hear any more statements. The votes have been cast. Just going to confer with my Grand Vizier, if you don't mind, just to iron a couple of things out. Of course. We turned away from the delegates and spoke in low voices. What do you think of Rusty's exception idea? Could I reintroduce that? It's a bit of a halfway house, you know? You're the king. Of course you can. It would save the kingdom money, and it would send Mr. Montoro over the moon. But of course, it would signal to everyone else that you're in his pocket. So you see, so all in or nothing at all. God, we are the said it early in the session. The bribable king, King Romus the bribable. That's who we should be known as. Right. Okay. I made a decision. Everyone in the room was silent as they awaited my next words. Overall recommendation: safety measure will be implemented. Exempt the mining industry. That's only -1 budget as well. Or we can just side with the delegate minority and have nothing at all. Yeah, we don't want to appear to be in Rusty's pocket, certainly any more than we already are, so I suppose to save face, we shall side with the delegate majority, and the proposal from the Reasons Party shall not be undertaken. And as we said at the start, any RPP proposals are not going to be enacted under our rule unless something significantly changes, and things have significantly changed, actually. Much to Manus's detriment, considering that, yes, he is seeing my daughter. So, yeah. The trouble is, if my daughter winks her eye, blats at she might be able to twist my arm. But it's good for the people if you build them houses. Oh, fine. I can see it now. But for now, we're going to side with the delegate majority. And we say it with a stern face, glaring Manus in his eye. Damn straight, Your Majesty. Order! My uncle gave Rusty a withering look. Silence, Mr. Montoro. Do not make His Majesty regret his decision. Madam Speaker, let the record show that the King has aligned with the House majority. Noted, Your Grace. Dari made a note in her binder, then looked up at me, slightly smiling. Once again, I thank His Majesty for blessing us with his presence today, and Duke Taurus for presiding over the session. An honour as usual, Madam Speaker. My fellow delegates and esteemed guests, this meeting is now adjourned. Any follow-up questions will be addressed in future sittings. She rang the bell again, and the room began to empty. As my guards escorted me towards the exit, I noticed Rusty still standing in the hall with his arms folded. I do want him to keep his gob shut, but threatening the man to have his head lopped off, flippin' hell, it's a bit of... You're welcome. Your act of benevolence will not be forgotten, Your Majesty. He reached out to shake my hand. I suddenly felt the cool of metal against my palm. I withdrew my hand and took a closer look at the object he'd given me. My guys dug this up at the mitts a while back. Consider it a token of my appreciation. What is it? Heck if I know. Looks pretty old though, doesn't it? As for that other matter we discussed back at my place, my lawyers will be in touch with the paperwork. Raising the stake won't be free, naturally, but I'll give you a royal discount. See you real soon. He bowed and strode out the door. It's a good job we can sell some ships. A Rue Assist medallion. Oh, Rue Assist medallion. Oh, this. Oh, take this to Mr. Grand Wiseman here. Rue Assist medallion. Oh my God, we're gonna actually, you know, as a man of history and religion, this is whew. We'd be over the moon when we figure out when we find out what this is, if we don't already know ourselves. Wow, nice. We would be very happy indeed. Right, what's this? Rizia Royal Gold Stake Change. Raise stake to 45% will cost us some budget, but will give us extra budget per turn, which we can offset against the loss in constructing the Parley pipelines. Let's raise that stakes. Who needs budget? We've only got a gold mine to build. Right, what have we got added to the list here? Workers' rights protection for all industries. So we can enact this whenever we want, but clearly we're not going to do, are we? Allow free press? No, nothing there. It's just floating my boat, shall we say? Right. I'm just trying to find the gold mine. Yeah, it was 3 budget. Plus 2 budget per turn. That's pretty cool. Yeah, next end of turn, we're definitely getting that gold mine. So I'd say that, I mean, we're not at the end of the chapter just yet, but we're looking good at authority at the moment. We're looking good with the budget per turn, and of course, we keep saying it, we can sell those ships to get actual budget when we need it quite quickly. When we start getting those ships being constructed, submarines and stuff, we're going to get another +1 to energy, which is going to help. So I think the numbers aren't looking too shabby. The issue that we've got is we're not enacting anything welfare-wise, so we're going to have to do a welfare thing very shortly. We need not an RPP one, but maybe another one that might help something. Tenant protection laws, just something a little bit, just to give them something to latch on to. It's a little bit of budget, a little bit of authority. Maybe we can just, we'll help some people that are renting properties to have some more protections. You know, just give them a bone, throw them a bit of a something. You know, we'll have to look at that in the next end of turn phase when we're looking at what decrees. But I think the gold mine certainly, and maybe something welfare based. It's not too expensive. Just throw them a bit of something. Morella sends congratulations for taking control of natural resources. Oh, she welcomes our decision to take control over a larger part of its Royal Gold Corporation. Oh, well, good for you, love. Economy situation. Status 45%. I said we would. Bit of bribery to get there, but I said we would. Kingdom increases share in RRG. We can't help but wonder why not more of the pride of Rizia's economy is in the hands of our king, instead of being controlled by some capitalist like Rusty. But this is a vast improvement and an indicator of our king's economic plans for the country. Geopolitical news. Hegel tightens Garmland trade. Very good. Right, what's next? Request for cooperation from Valen. Whalen's intelligence forces have asked for our full cooperation in their investigation of the Zeal bombing. This means that Rizian security will be obliged to share any information they have found and vice versa. Oh, now this is an interesting one. But I think we've got to be seen to be cooperating when it comes to this AN meeting. So if we suddenly don't decide to cooperate, we're going to look a bit shady, aren't we? Can we trust them to share what they've got properly? Is another matter, I suppose. But ultimately, we're not going to uncover anything that we're going to want to hide. So if it is Sue Omina that was involved, share it. I'm not bothered. So we're going to cooperate. Yeah, I think we should. Cooperate away. Right, we've got the Cairo Alliance of Nations South Mako possession, and we've got wine export soar. Look at this. Rizia's vineyards are flourishing with heavy demand from a remarkable surge in wine exports, particularly to Swordland and other Eastern Makopa nations. This unexpected boon has created a significant surplus in trade, positively impacting our national budget. Our strategic decision now is how to best allocate this additional resource. Rizia's viticulture will travel around the world. Geralt of Ribery? Who the heck is that even? What does that mean? So that I'm assuming that means send it around the world, and that means send it to Swordland. No. Wider reaching. Let's send it... Ooh. If we've got any talks coming up with Swordland later, maybe we should just keep it to Swordland. A strategic decision. I think, knowing full well that we have got talks potentially coming up with Swordland in the future about Gasson, we might want to just give them preference to, you know, surplus in trade. I mean, worldwide reach would be surely better. No, let's give it to Swordland. Give it to Swordland. The average rent per square metre in the Rizian capital is skyrocketing rapidly, with experts estimating a doubling every 18 months with no sign of slowing down. Okay. I think that might settle it for us. I think we might do the tenants' rights as our kind of welfare bit of our next decree. Wayland thanks us for cooperation. Goodwill from our side. Monkeys grapples with rising tourism and trade demands. Look at that. The governor of Monkeys faces new challenges as it becomes the epicentre of Rizia's surging trade exports and tourist arrivals. Influx of visitors, especially from Swordland and the burgeoning wine trade, have brought economic growth but also concerns over cultural and environmental impacts. The situation is particularly strained in the entertainment district, where the blend of local tradition and foreign influence is most palpable. As Monkeys navigates these waters, balancing its historic role as a trade hub with its modern identity is proving to be a complex task, but one that we can rise to. And look at that. Swordish tourists disrupt ancient Topaz site. The tourists ignored guidelines, ventured into restricted areas, damaging some unearthed artifacts. Look at that. You dogs. Swordish tourists, a blessing or a burden? As our wine and whisky industries flourish, attracting a flood of Swordish tourists, concerns have been raised about their impact on the Valankiris region. While the influx of visitors from Swordland following the lucrative trade and resort deals has undoubtedly boosted our economy, there is growing unease about their sometimes snobbish and arrogant behaviour. Local residents and vintners expressed mixed feelings, appreciating the economic benefits but wary of the cultural and environmental implications of this newfound attention. Rizia's wine exports reach new heights. Look at that. Particularly with Swordland. An economic and diplomatic triumph it is indeed. Look at that. Right. Alliance of Nations South Makopa session. Probably the last thing of this particular turn to do. And what a way to end that turn. Right, we'll save that for the next session, which will hopefully be a stream. Maybe a pre-football stream on Tuesday, if not a full-blown stream. Oh no, I'm off to Ipswich for work Wednesday, Thursday. So yeah, hopefully Tuesday for pre-football stream. As we will continue onwards with our reign. But as things currently stand, I think we're not doing too bad. I'm obviously biased, but I think we're doing all right. You know, people, we're going to give them a few things now. We're getting some healthy profits with the money coming through. Maybe start to spend and give a bit to the people. Not giving them workers' rights, but we'll give them something else. You know, as I said, a bit of tenant laws, maybe something else that we could just throw in there for them, keep them happy, shut them up a bit. Zeal. That's coming back to us. It must be. We've got many people on our side now. We've got 25% of the gas fit. I think we're not doing too bad. I think we're all right. We'll see. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your weekend, what's left of it. And until next time, I'll see you soon.